Welcome back to the channel. It is Saturday, March 15th. We have a ton of college basketball to dive into for today. I'm going to try to break these videos up into two videos today because there's a handful of games tipping off here early. We got a handful of games tipping off in the later afternoon and into the evening. So I'm going to dive into, I got three games I want to talk about right here in this video here. And then keep an eye out in the afternoon. I'm going to try to drop a second video as well for those later games. But let's dive into it, guys. Let's not waste any time because, man, by the time I get this uploaded, we're going to be close to the tip-off for this first game. So I definitely want to get this out as soon as possible. I'm looking at that Yale and that Princeton game. I'm looking at Yale on the money line, but I wanted to combine that because obviously that's super juiced, right? They're 7.5-point favorites over Princeton, but I don't like that number, man. That's just a little too high for me. Although Yale has, they have covered in 7 of the last 10 against Princeton. Still just a little high for me for a conference tournament game, especially. And Princeton has, they have not looked bad in this tournament so far. So just a little too many points, more than I want to lay. So I'm going to look at them, Yale, on the money line, and combine that with a total alternate under 150.5. Now, if you put that together as a two-leg parlay, we can get that at minus 105 on DraftKings. Now, I like those odds a lot better than that like minus 320 that Yale money line sitting on, right? Nobody got time for no minus 320. Come on. But Yale has won straight up in 7 of their last 10 head-to-head versus Princeton. They're 71st overall in the Ken Palm rankings, 57th offensively and 111th defensively, while Princeton's just sitting at 181 overall, 200th offensively and 192 defensively. So obviously Yale is the much better team in this scenario between these two squads. We can hop over to Outlier real quick, and you can see, like I said, head-to-head. Outlier only goes back the last couple years. That shows you right there. Yale has kind of dominated this matchup, 75% of the wins, 3 of the last 4. If we look at the last 10 between these two teams, we can see that, look, Yale has just been on a roll, right? I mean, we can push it back. Yale's won 9 of their last 10 as compared to 5 out of the last 5 for Princeton here. But we can see Yale's won actually, 16 of their last 18 games now straight up. Princeton just 5-6 in their last 11. You know what I mean? So Yale has definitely been the better squad here between these two, like I said. So I definitely like this one. Yale on the money line, and then combine that with the total alternate of under 150.5, because I do think this is going to be a kind of a slower pace game. I do think that Princeton can keep it close with Yale. That's why I don't really like Yale, laying 7.5 points with them. But I do think ultimately Yale pulls out the victory in a closer, slower pace game. So, like I said, I like that on the money line and then that total alternate as well. Next up, I'm going to be looking at Wisconsin and Michigan State. This is going to be a good game, man. Michigan State's on a roll, obviously. But so is Wisconsin, right? And I'm looking at Wisconsin in the first half plus the points. Excuse me. You can get that plus 1.5. It's minus 110 on Caesars right now. Like I said, man, Michigan State's hot. They're on that big win streak, but Wisconsin's no slouch themselves, guys. They are efficient with the ball. They limit turnovers. They're the better shooting team of these two squads, especially from the perimeter. They rank inside the top 100. Michigan State outside the top 300 as far as three-point shooting goes. Wisconsin is also the top free throw shooting team in the nation, which I think is going to play huge in this game, especially down the stretch, right? If you're betting this game full game, keep this in mind. Like, Wisconsin, the number 1 free throw shooting team in the league. If you expect this to be a close game, that's definitely going to play into their favor. But for me, I'm looking at that first half because these two just played head-to-head here recently, right? Michigan State won a very close game between these two. And I expect Wisconsin to come out here with some, with revenge on the mind. Now, Michigan State won that game back in early March, 71-62, end of the day. But if you look right here, this is the first half spread, right? Between these two head-to-head. You can see Wisconsin's won that, that first half spread. They've covered this 1.5 line in the last 3 meetings in a row. And then earlier this year in that game that they lost, 71-62, they were up at the half, 34-32. All right, so they can play this Michigan State team tough. They have the talent themselves on their side of the ball to hang with this Spartan team for sure. And like I said, revenge on the mind, man. Michigan State's coming in on fire. There's got to be a letdown at some point, right? I hate betting that way, but there's got to be a letdown at some point. If you look at these guys on the year for that 1.5 point spread in the first half, we can see Wisconsin's hitting that at an 85% rate. Michigan State only 56%, right? You can see all this green in a row from Wisconsin. They've been in it in the first half, all of these games. You know what I mean? Look at that. That's a lot of green. They've kept it close in a lot of these first half. Now let's look at Michigan State. It's the complete opposite, right? Michigan State has been a second half team They've come out blazing here in these first couple games here in this conference tournament, man. But I think that they're going to meet a tougher matchup here with Wisconsin, a team that can hang with them and kind of play to some of the Michigan State weaknesses. So I like Wisconsin here in the first half, guys. Plus 1.5, minus 110 over there at Caesars. And I'm looking at Tennessee and Auburn. I'm looking at the total in this one under 140.5. You can get that at Caesars right now, minus 110. Now, these are two of the best teams in the nation, obviously, right? Tennessee sitting at 5th overall, Ken Palm rankings, 18th offensively, 3rd defensively. They have an adjusted tempo of just 346. These guys like to play slow and grind it out, man, right? Auburn, 2nd overall. They got the first offense in the nation, 12th defensively, and 147th as far as adjusted tempo. So not the super, super quick, fast-paced team, but obviously they got the number 1 offense, man. So they can definitely get some points up. But I definitely still like this under. Despite the offenses on both sides, defense prevailed in that meeting in January 25th between these two teams. Last time these two played, Auburn won that game 53-51. Right, they landed at only 104 total points. It was well below the line that was set for that game at 141.5. This one's sitting at 140.5. I don't know, man. I don't think that we see that big of a difference between these two teams and how they play each other, especially with a conference tournament in play. It's like the defense is going to ramp up a little bit more even when we consider that, right? And obviously, Auburn has an elite offense sitting at first in the KenPom rankings, but we've seen them struggle this time of the year with turnovers and shot making out of the backcourt, in years past. And this is what's bounced them out of the tournament these last few years. And wouldn't you know it, we saw more of the same yesterday, right? When they just got by Ole Miss in a 5-point victory, they only managed 62 points. So I could see some more struggles against a Tennessee team that, sure, this isn't the Tennessee team that we've seen in years past, right? They're not as sound defensively. They're not that elite defensive squad that we've come to expect from Tennessee. But this is still a damn good defensive team, right? It's not like they've fallen apart on that end by any means. We still see them sit pretty high in terms of efficiency overall. They're still a very, very above average defensive squad. And you can see that head-to-head, like I said, that last matchup, 53-51, total 104, well below that 141.5 line, right? Now look at this insight from Outlier. We can see the under has hit in 5 of Tennessee Volunteers' last 6 games when they are a dog, which they are here as well. So all in all, guys, I like the under in this one, under 140.5 at DraftKings minus 110. And guys, that is going to wrap it up here for this video. But like I said, keep an eye out for a second video early afternoon, mid-afternoon-ish. I'm going to try to get that out to go over the rest of the games on the slate. But early games here that we wanted to touch and wanted to make sure that you guys got all of the information that you could get so that you could play some wagers before these early tip-offs. So keep an eye out for that second video. I'll see you there, guys.